So I wanted to talk about what happens when your store gets too big, a lot bigger than you expected it to be. In April of 2020, I started out selling just random cards from my collection, maybe 25 to 50 at a time, and then auctions that I had going were selling really well, and I was making way more money than I expected. And then I started buying more collections from people and opening booster boxes and flipping the cards until I realized that I believe it was 200 free listings a month they were giving me as a standard seller. And I realized I could be listing a lot more. Uh, to a certain degree, it started to take over my life because I was making so much money that I thought it would be a good decision to become an anchor store, which cost me about $300 a month. What I get for that is I get 10,000 free buy it now listings and 1,000 free auction listings. So what happens when you're running a store and you're by yourself and you've pretty much entered a contract with eBay for $300 per month for 12 months, and you need to get stuff listed? Well, in my experience, it's extremely difficult to keep listings even remotely close to 1,000. And that's like 10%, right? That's 10% of the 10,000 I could be listing. And it's very tough, right? It's very monotonous to keep listing these over and over and over and over. And it just goes on for days, right? So what happens is you get burnt out with the sheer amount of listings. But the reality is, the more that you do list, I found, the more buy it nows you do, the higher this number is right here. I can't highlight it, but the higher this number active, which my active right now is 848. I have 848 active listings. It's very difficult to keep it above 1,000. When I used to have about 1,200 at one point. What ends up happening is if you take a week off of listing, you'll sell like crazy. Like I showed in my other video, I was selling like 12 to 20 um, listings a day. Uh, so you get burnt out with keeping up with the 1,000 listings, 1,200 listings, and then you got to ship everything out. It gets really, really crazy. Um, but if you want to make good money, you've got to get that active listing from wherever you're at to as close to 10,000. The problem is, hypothetically, if I had 10,000 listings right now, what would I be selling in a day? Probably, I could have realistically 100 sales in a day, sounds great, but that's a lot to ship out for one person. I mean, it's almost impossible. I mean, I'd run through my printer would I run out of I'd run out of ink constantly. So what happens? And then on top of that, you have to replenish the 100 sales you just had to keep it at that 10,000 level, and you have to constantly be buying collections and bulk collections and sorting, and the logistics is ridiculous. So what is my plan? Well, my plan is, I mean, I'm going to have to hire somebody. Um, this summer, I'm planning on hiring somebody based off of percentages, not based off of a defined um, weekly income, but a 20% uh, of net sales will go to my employee. So the more, and she'll just be handling listing, nothing but listing. I'll do the sorting. I'll do the pricing. I'll do the shipping and the labels and um, communication with the buyer, and she'll just be doing listing. Like I'll send her, okay, I need four ex imperious oligarchs. I need them up there. I need them up for $1.48. right? And I'll send a massive list of all the cards I have sorted out that need listing, and it probably takes eh, 5 minutes or so per listing, honestly, to download the stock image, to write out the, even though I use templates, to write these out to make sure all the little, here, let me show you, to write out all these little things right here, to write this out here. But these take forever to do for some reason because eBay's does this thing where it really wants you to how do I say it? It's like an autofill in these fields when you're creating a listing, and it's very clunky and very hard to maneuver sometimes. Like sometimes it like auto completes stuff that makes no sense from different card games, and then you have to delete it and then put your own in. So having listed this many, probably at this point like 10,000 individual listings altogether in this past year, uh, I've learned how to really cut down to like 3 to 5 minutes per listing when I'm listing. Um, so I'll give her like this massive Word doc filled with all these cards that need listed. She'll go find the stock image. She'll create these um, titles. She'll complete the all the little keyword searches and specs for the item. And our goal is to reach that 10,000 or as close as we can, because I really do think if right now with just under 1,000, I still bring in about $1,000 a month extra income. Net sales. That's after fees. That's after shipping. That's after my store fee. So after after all those are taken out, I'm still making about $1,000 a month as one person. But if we can multiply that by 10, there's a chance I think that we can make 10 grand a month, giving her um, 2 grand a month, which is pretty good for her. And she already has another job, and I have another job myself. So I'd be bringing in 8 grand, 8 grand net, and he'll bring in 10, or two rather, and 10 total. So that's our goal. But there's absolutely no way I could possibly do this myself, and I don't even know if we will be able to do it with two people. But it is its own beast, right? And it is a way. It, in a way, it's very successful uh, in how it's been able to generate income. But it takes so much freaking work. People don't realize that. Uh, but I think it could pay off. I really do. But it's going to take a ton of work, and I never imagined a time when I would potentially have to hire people and hire employees, and taxes are a mess. But if I really want this thing to succeed long term, I can't have 850 listings out of 10,000 potential listings. So yeah, and in my experience, again, once you hit the, it's like a weird snowballing effect. The more you keep listing, and the higher your all actives is. I think around 1,200 was the highest I ever got by myself. The more sales you end up seeing, the um, the higher prices you can get away with and stuff like that, and just generate more income. So there's something with eBay's algorithm that plays into this, that this plays a role into keeping your active listings high and listing consistently every day. So yeah,